Dr. Elena Reyes squinted at her computer screen, her eyes burning from hours of staring at streams of data. The radio telescope array she managed in Chile had been picking up an unusual signal for weeks, and she was determined to decipher its meaning. Dr. Reyes, her assistant, Marco, poked his head into her office. "It's past midnight. Maybe you should get some rest." Elena waved him off, not taking her eyes from the screen. "I'm close, Marco. I can feel it. This signal, it's not random noise. There's a pattern here." As Marco sighed and left, Elena's fingers flew across the keyboard, adjusting parameters and running new analyses. Suddenly, her screen lit up with a new data visualization. Elena's heart raced as she saw it, a clear, repetitive pattern emerging from the cosmic noise. "Oh my God," she whispered. "This is it." Within hours, Elena's discovery was making headlines around the world. An alien signal, unmistakably artificial, coming from a star system 40 light-years away. Humanity was not alone in the universe. As governments and scientific institutions scrambled to respond, a second shock came just days later. The signal changed, becoming more complex. It was a message, and it was aimed directly at Earth. Dr. Rice found herself at the center of a global effort to decode the alien transmission. For weeks, the brightest minds on the planet worked tirelessly to unravel its meaning. When they finally succeeded, the message was deceptively simple. "We come in peace. Prepare for contact." The world held its breath as a sleek, silver spacecraft entered Earth's orbit 3 months later. In a historic moment broadcast to billions, the ship's occupants revealed themselves. The Orcs, representatives of the Galactic Confederation. The Orcs were a sight to behold. Tall, elegant beings with iridescent skin and large, expressive eyes. They spoke of a vast community of intelligent species spread across the Milky Way, united in peaceful cooperation and scientific advancement. For a moment, it seemed humanity's wildest dreams had come true. The Orcs offered to share their advanced technology and knowledge, to help Earth take its place among the stars. But as Dr. Rice and other human representatives spent more time with the aliens, they sensed an undercurrent of urgency in their behavior. Finally, during a private meeting with world leaders, the Orcs revealed the truth. Their mission wasn't just one of peaceful contact. It was a warning. "There is another power in the galaxy," the Orcs ambassador explained, his voice grave. "One that does not share our ideals of peace and cooperation. They are called the Krell, and they have set their sights on your world." The room fell silent as the ambassador activated a holographic display, showing a massive fleet of warships. The Krell Empire is a militant civilization that seeks to conquer and subjugate all in their path. They have detected your radio transmissions and deemed your planet ripe for conquest. Dr. Rice felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the implications. How long do we have?" The Orcs' large eyes blinked slowly. "Based on their last known position and typical invasion patterns, we estimate they will reach your solar system within 2 of your Earth years." Panic threatened to overtake the room, but the U.S. president stood, her face set with determination. "What can we do to prepare? Will the Confederation help us?" The ambassador's expression was somber. "We will offer what assistance we can, but our resources are stretched thin defending our own borders. The hard truth is that Earth must prepare to stand largely on its own against the Krell onslaught." As the meeting adjourned, Dr. Rice found herself walking alongside the Orcs ambassador. "I don't understand," she said. "If the Confederation is so advanced, why can't you simply destroy the Krell?" The alien turned his penetrating gaze on her. "Dr. Rice, the universe is vast and full of wonders, but it is not kind. The Krell are not merely a military force. They are a plague that adapts and evolves. We have fought them for millennia, yet they endure." He placed a hand on her shoulder, its touch surprisingly warm. "But take heart. We have seen the potential in humanity. You are young, yes, but also fierce and innovative. If any species has a chance of succeeding where others have failed, it may be yours." As Elena watched the Arxer ship depart Earth's orbit a week later, her mind raced with everything that needed to be done. Humanity had 2 years to prepare for a threat beyond anything they had ever faced. The signal that had once filled her with wonder and hope now seemed like a cosmic cruel joke. They had reached out to the stars, dreaming of a grand adventure, and instead found themselves in a fight for survival. But as she looked at the teams of scientists and leaders already hard at work, Elena felt a glimmer of hope. Humanity had faced extinction before, had overcome impossible odds throughout its history. They would face this threat as they had faced all others, together, with all the ingenuity and determination they could muster. The Krell were coming, but Earth would be ready. Part 2. Preparation. The next 2 years saw a flurry of activity unlike anything in human history. With the threat of the Krell looming, long-standing rivalries and conflicts were set aside. The United Earth Defense Council, UEDC, was formed, pooling the resources and expertise of every nation on the planet. Dr. Elena Reyes found herself at the forefront of this global effort, heading up a team of scientists tasked with reverse engineering and adapting the limited Arxer technology left behind. Their primary focus: developing defenses against the Krell's advanced weaponry. "We're making progress," Elena reported to the UEDC, gesturing to a holographic display of Earth's solar system. "The early warning system is online. We'll have at least a week's notice when the Krell enter our system." General Zhao, the Chinese military representative, frowned. "A week is not much time. What about our offensive capabilities?" Elena sighed. "We've improved our weapons systems, but we're still far behind what the Arxer described of Krell technology. Our best bet remains the SHIELD project." All eyes turned to Dr. Amit Patel, a brilliant Indian physicist who had been working tirelessly on an experimental defense system. Amit stepped forward, his eyes bright despite the dark circles beneath them. "We've had a breakthrough," he announced, bringing up a new hologram. "By combining Arxer energy manipulation techniques with our own research into quantum fields, we've created a prototype shield that can withstand energy levels far beyond anything we've seen before." A murmur of excitement ran through the room. Elena leaned forward, her heart racing. "Amit, are you saying this could stop Krell weapons?" Amit nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. "Based on the Arxer data, yes. But there's a catch. The power requirements are enormous. We can protect small areas, maybe a city or a large ship, but not an entire planet." The room erupted in debate. Some argued for building massive shield generators to protect major population centers. Others pushed for focusing on space-based defenses. As the arguments heated up, Elena found her attention drawn to a quiet figure at the end of the table. Captain Yuki Tanaka of the newly formed United Earth Space Force had been silently taking in the discussion. Now she stood, her voice cutting through the noise. "We're thinking too defensively," Yuki said. "Yes, we need shields to protect Earth. But we also need a way to take the fight to the Krell. Dr. Patel, could your shield technology be adapted for our ships?" Amit blinked, considering. "Yes, I believe so. It would require significant modifications to the power systems, but it's possible." Yuki nodded, her eyes gleaming. "Then that's our path forward. We build a fleet of ships equipped with these shields. Fast, maneuverable craft that can stand up to Krell firepower. We meet them at the edge of our solar system and push them back." The room fell silent as everyone considered the audacity of the plan. It was General Zhao who finally spoke up. "It's risky. We'd be committing a huge amount of resources to an untested strategy." "With all due respect, General," Yuki replied, "everything about this situation is untested. We can't win by playing it safe." Elena found herself nodding in agreement. "Captain Tanaka is right. We need to be bold. Dr. Patel and I can work on miniaturizing the shield technology for ship-based applications." Over the next 18 months, the face of Earth changed dramatically. Massive factories sprang up across the globe, dedicated to producing components for the new fleet. The moon became a bustling hub of activity as shipyards were constructed in lunar orbit. Elena split her time between the lunar shipyards and her lab on Earth, working to perfect the shield technology. The work was grueling, with setbacks and failures aplenty, but slowly, surely, they made progress. As the first anniversary of the Orcs warning passed, the prototype of humanity's new flagship, the UES Defiant, took shape in lunar orbit. Elena stood in the observation deck, watching as construction drones swarmed around the sleek vessel. "Impressive, isn't it?" Yuki's voice came from behind her. The captain joined Elena at the window, her eyes fixed on the ship. "Hard to believe we've come this far in such a short time." Elena nodded, feeling the mix of pride and apprehension. "It's amazing what we can accomplish when we work together. But will it be enough?" Yuki placed a hand on Elena's shoulder. "It has to be. We've thrown everything we have at this problem. Now we just have to hope it's enough to give us a fighting chance." As they stood there, watching humanity's future take shape before their eyes, an alarm suddenly blared through the station. Elena's blood ran cold as she recognized the sound. It was the early warning system. A technician's voice came over the intercom, tight with tension. "Attention all personnel. Multiple unknown objects detected entering the solar system. Estimated time to Earth orbit: 6 days." Elena and Yuki locked eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. The moment they had been preparing for, dreading, and in some ways hoping would never come, was finally here. The Krell had arrived. The invasion begins. The next 6 days were a blur of frantic activity. As the Krell fleet approached, Earth's defenses kicked into high gear. The UES Defiant, along with a handful of other completed ships, launched from the lunar shipyards. Hundreds of smaller craft, hastily retrofitted with the new shield technology, joined them in a defensive formation around Earth. Dr. Elena Reyes found herself aboard the Defiant, working alongside the crew to fine-tune the shield systems. Captain Yuki Tanaka stood on the bridge, her face a mask of determination, as she coordinated with the other ships in the fleet. "All ships, report in," Yuki commanded, her voice steady despite the tension palpable in the air. As the captains of Earth's Galactic fleet sounded off, Elena's attention was drawn to the main view screen. The first Krell ships were coming into visual range, and the sight made her breath catch in her throat. The alien vessels were massive, dwarfing even the Defiant. Their hulls were a deep, midnight blue, covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and move as she watched. Energy crackled around them, hinting at weaponry far beyond human understanding. "My God," Elena whispered, "they're even more advanced than we thought." Yuki's jaw tightened, but her voice remained calm as she addressed the fleet. "Remember your training. Stick to the plan. We may be outnumbered and outgunned, but we have surprise on our side. They don't know about our shields." As if on cue, the lead Krell ship fired. A beam of searing energy lanced out, striking the Defiant head-on. For a moment, Elena's heart stopped, certain they were about to be vaporized. But the shield held. A cheer went up across the bridge as the Krell beam dissipated harmlessly against the shimmering barrier of energy. Elena allowed herself a small smile of triumph. Their hard work had paid off. "All ships, engage," Yuki ordered. "Hit them hard and fast." The battle was joined. Earth's ships darted and weaved between the lumbering Krell vessels, their shields allowing them to withstand hits that should have annihilated them. They struck back with everything they had: railguns, missiles, and hastily adapted energy weapons based on Orcs designs. For a while, it seemed like humanity might actually win this first engagement. Several Krell ships fell to the combined assault of the Earth fleet, but as the battle wore on, the tide began to turn. The Krell, recovering from their initial surprise, began to adapt their tactics. They focused their fire, overwhelming individual shields through sheer firepower. One by one, Earth's ships began to fall. "We can't hold them here," Yuki said grimly, watching as another friendly blip disappeared from her tactical display. "All ships, begin falling back to Mars orbit. We need to buy more time for the evacuations. As the battered Earth fleet retreated, the Krell pressed their advantage. They bypassed Mars entirely, heading straight for Earth. The planet's surface-based defenses opened fire, but they were like insects trying to stop a tsunami. From the bridge of the Defiant, Alina watched in horror as the Krell ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They're going after the major cities, she realized. They're trying to break our will to fight. Yuki nodded, her face grim. Standard invasion tactic. Hit the population centers. Force a quick surrender. She turned to her communications officer. Get me a line to UEDC headquarters. We need to coordinate our next move. But before the officer could respond, the main view screen lit up with a transmission. The face that appeared was alien, vaguely reptilian, with scales of deep purple and eyes that glowed with an inner fire. Humans. The Krell commander spoke, its voice a low, rumbling hiss. Your resistance is admirable, but futile. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Continue to fight, and we will turn your world to ash. Yuki stepped forward, her eyes blazing with defiance. We will never surrender. This is our home, and we will defend it to our last breath. The Krell commander's eyes narrowed. So be it. You have chosen extinction. As the transmission cut off, Alina turned to Yuki. What now, Captain? Yuki's expression was resolute. Now we show them what humanity is really capable of. All hands, prepare for combat. We're going back in. The Defiant and the remaining Earth ships turned, heading back towards their embattled homeworld. As they approached, Alina could see the devastation already wrought by the Krell assault. Entire cities were in flames, the night sky lit by the glow of destruction. But amidst the chaos, she also saw signs of hope. Earth's ground forces were fighting back fiercely. In some areas, they had even managed to bring down Krell ships using hastily adapted shield technology. As they re-engaged the enemy, Alina knew that this was only the beginning. The war for Earth's survival had begun in earnest, and it would take everything they had, and more, to emerge victorious. The Krell had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity's resolve. Now, it was time to make them pay for that error. Turning point. 3 months into the Krell invasion, Earth was a planet under siege. Major cities lay in ruins, billions had been displaced, and the remnants of humanity's fleet fought a desperate holding action against the seemingly endless Krell armada. Yet, against all odds, humanity endured. Dr. Alina Reyes stood in the war room of the UEDC's underground headquarters, studying the holographic display of Earth and its surrounding space. Red markers indicating Krell positions far outnumbered the blue of Earth's forces, but the lines had stabilized. The initial Krell blitzkrieg had been blunted, thanks in large part to the shield technology. Dr. Reyes, a voice called. She turned to see General Zhao approaching, his uniform rumpled from too many sleepless nights. We've received a transmission from Captain Tanaka. The Defiant has returned from its deep space mission. Alina's heart leaped. The Defiant had been sent on a risky mission to study a disabled Krell ship on the outskirts of the solar system. If they had succeeded, minutes later, Yuki's face appeared on the main screen, her expression a mix of exhaustion and excitement. We did it, she reported. We managed to salvage key components of their propulsion and weapons systems. Dr. Rice, you're going to want to see this data. As Alina pored over the information streaming in, her eyes widened. This is incredible, she breathed. Their technology, it's not just more advanced than ours. It's fundamentally different. She turned to the assembled leaders, her mind racing. The Krell ships don't just use shields like ours. They manipulate the very fabric of space-time around them. That's why our weapons have been so ineffective. We've been trying to hit something that's barely in the same dimension as us. General Zhao frowned. Can we adapt our shields to counter this? Alina nodded slowly. I think so. But more than that, I think we can use this principle to create a weapon that can punch through their defenses. The next weeks were a blur of feverish work. Alina led a team of scientists and engineers working around the clock to develop what they called the phase cannon. Based on the Krell technology, it would fire a beam of energy that existed partially out of phase with normal space, allowing it to bypass conventional defenses. As they worked, the war raged on. The Krell pushed harder, sensing perhaps that humanity was on the verge of a breakthrough. Cities fell, moon bases were overrun, and Earth's fleet was pushed back time and again. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the prototype was ready. Alina stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching as the massive phase cannon was installed on the ship's prow. "Are you sure about this?" Yuki asked, standing beside her. "We've only run simulations. We have no idea how it will perform in actual combat." Alina met her gaze steadily. "We're out of options and out of time. This has to work." The opportunity to test the new weapon came all too soon. A Krell battle group was detected approaching the last major shipyard in Earth orbit. If it fell, humanity's ability to replace its losses would be crippled. The Defiant and its escort ships moved to intercept. As they approached, Alina's hands tightened on the railing of her station. Everything hinged on this moment. "Krell ships in range," the tactical officer reported. "They're charging weapons." Yuki's voice was calm as she gave the order. "Fire the phase cannon." For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a beam of scintillating energy lanced out from the Defiant. It struck the lead Krell ship and passed through its defenses as if they weren't there. The alien vessel erupted in a spectacular explosion. Cheers erupted across the bridge. "It worked," Alina exclaimed, her voice filled with equal parts relief and amazement. Yuki was already barking out new orders. "All ships, concentrate fire on the remaining Krell vessels. Double it up." The battle that followed was short but fierce. The Krell, caught off guard by the sudden shift in the balance of power, fought with desperate ferocity. But for the first time since the war began, they were outmatched. As the last Krell ship fell, a stunned silence fell over the bridge. Then, slowly, realization dawned. They had won. Not just a skirmish, not just a holding action, but a decisive victory. Alina turned to Yuki, tears of joy and exhaustion in her eyes. "We did it," she said softly. "We actually did it." Yuki nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "We did. But this is just the beginning. Now, we take the fight to them." As news of the victory spread, a wave of hope swept across Earth and its colonies. For the first time since the Krell arrived, humanity dared to believe that they might not just survive this war, but win it. The tide had turned. Now, it was time to push back. Counterattack. In the months following the Battle of Earth's orbit, humanity's fortunes in the war took a dramatic turn. With the phase cannon technology now being rapidly deployed across the fleet, Earth's forces began to push the Krell back, liberating occupied territories and striking deep into enemy-held space. Dr. Alina Reyes found herself splitting her time between the front lines, where she worked to refine and improve the phase technology, and Earth, where she coordinated the scientific efforts to further understand and exploit Krell technology. On a rare quiet evening, Alina sat in her makeshift lab aboard the Defiant, poring over data from their latest engagement. Captain Yuki Tanaka entered, carrying 2 steaming mugs. "Thought you could use this," Yuki said, offering one to Alina. "It's been a long day." Alina accepted the mug gratefully, inhaling the aroma of real coffee. A luxury these days. "Thanks. I think I'm onto something here." Yuki peered at the holographic display. "What am I looking at?" "Patterns in Krell fleet movements," Alina explained. "There's something odd about the way they respond to our attacks. It's almost as if..." She trailed off, her brow furrowed in concentration. Yuki waited patiently, knowing better than to interrupt when Alina was on the verge of a breakthrough. Suddenly, Alina's eyes widened. "That's it," she exclaimed. "Yuki, I think I found a weakness in the Krell command structure." Over the next hour, Alina laid out her theory. The Krell fleet, despite its vast size and technological superiority, showed signs of rigid, centralized control. Their responses to human tactics were devastating when anticipated, but slow to adapt to surprises. If we can locate and neutralize their command centers, Alina concluded, we might be able to throw their entire war machine into disarray. Yuki nodded slowly, the implications sinking in. It's risky. We have to strike deep into Krell-controlled space. But if you're right, it could change everything. The plan that emerged was audacious to the point of insanity. A series of lightning raids into the heart of Krell territory, targeting suspected command and control nodes. The goal wasn't to hold territory, but to sow chaos and disrupt the enemy's ability to coordinate their forces. Alina found herself on the front lines once again, this time as part of a special operations team. Her expertise with Krell technology would be crucial in identifying and neutralizing key targets. Their first mission took them to a Krell-occupied world on the edge of human space. As their stealth shuttle slipped past the planet's defenses, Alina marveled at how far they'd come. Just months ago, such an operation would have been unthinkable. The team moved swiftly through the alien cityscape, their advanced stealth suits keeping them hidden from Krell sensors. Alina's handheld scanner led them to their target, a massive structure that pulsed with energy. "This is it," she whispered to the team leader, a grizzled veteran named Major Chen. "This building is definitely some kind of command node." Chen nodded grimly. "All right, people, you know the drill. Plant the charges and let's get out of here." As they worked, Alina couldn't shake a feeling of unease. The Krell technology here was like nothing she'd seen before. Its complexity hinted at capabilities far beyond what they'd encountered so far. They were nearly finished when all hell broke loose. Alarms blared, and Krell troops began to pour into the area. "We've been made," Chen shouted. "Fall back to the extraction point." What followed was a chaotic running battle through the streets of the alien city. Alina found herself in the thick of the action, using her phase pistol to devastating effect against the Krell pursuers. As they neared their shuttle, a massive explosion rocked the ground. Alina looked back to see the command node erupting in flames. Despite the danger, she felt a surge of triumph. They'd done it. The raid was a success, but it was only the beginning. Over the next weeks, similar strikes were carried out across Krell space. Each one disrupted enemy operations, buying time for Earth's forces to regroup and push forward. But the Krell were learning, adapting. Each mission became more dangerous than the last. Alina saw good men and women fall, sacrificing themselves for the cause. The weight of it all began to take its toll. After a particularly harrowing mission, Alina sat alone in her quarters, staring at the stars outside her viewport. Yuki found her there, concern etched on her face. "Alina, are you all right?" Alina turned, her eyes haunted. "I don't know, Yuki. We're winning battles, but at what cost? And the things I'm seeing in Krell territory, I'm starting to wonder if we truly understand what we're fighting." Yuki sat beside her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "What do you mean?" Alina sighed heavily. "Their technology, their tactics. There's a pattern emerging. It's as if they're not just fighting a war. They're following some kind of grand design. I can't shake the feeling that we're missing something crucial." As they sat there, contemplating the vast, star-filled expanse before them, neither of them could have imagined the truth they were about to uncover, a truth that would shake the very foundations of the war and of humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Final battle. The revelation came suddenly and with devastating implications. During a high-risk mission deep in Krell territory, Alina and her team stumbled upon a vast underground complex unlike anything they had seen before. As they cautiously explored its cavernous halls, they found something that changed everything. A massive star map, detailing not just Krell conquests, but a pattern of galactic engineering on an unimaginable scale. "This can't be right," Alina whispered, her voice echoing in the eerie silence. "According to this, The Krell aren't just conquerors. They're shepherds. Major Chen frowned. Shepherds of what? Of evolution itself, Elena replied, her mind reeling. They're guiding the development of species across the galaxy, pushing them towards some specific outcome. And we're the latest experiment. The implications were staggering. The Krell invasion wasn't just about conquest. It was a test, a crucible designed to force humanity's rapid advancement. And now, with the phase cannon and other breakthroughs, humanity had passed that test. As they raced back to Earth with their discovery, Elena's mind whirled with possibilities and dread. How would this change the war? What was the Krell's ultimate goal? The UEDC war room erupted into chaos as Elena presented her findings. Arguments broke out among military and civilian leaders alike. Some saw it as an opportunity for negotiation, others as a reason to fight even harder. In the midst of the uproar, a transmission came through. The Krell Supreme Commander, the elusive leader they had been trying to locate for months, was requesting a direct communication. The alien's face filled the main screen, its expression unreadable. "Humans," it began, its voice a low rumble. "You have exceeded our expectations. The time has come for the next phase." Elena stepped forward. "What do you mean? What is all this about?" The Krell commander's eyes seemed to bore into her. "Your species has shown remarkable adaptability and ingenuity. You are now ready to join us in our great work." "And if we refuse?" General Zhou demanded. "Then you will be deemed a failure, and your world will be cleansed for the next attempt." The ultimatum hung heavy in the air. Join the Krell in their mysterious galactic agenda, or face annihilation. The choice seemed impossible. It was Yuki who broke the silence. "No," she said firmly. "We won't be your pawns or your partners. Humanity charts its own course." The Krell commander's eyes narrowed. "Then you have chosen extinction. Prepare for your final test." As the transmission cut off, sensors lit up across the system. A massive Krell fleet, larger than any they had faced before, was approaching Earth. "This is it," Elena said, her voice tight. "Everything we fought for comes down to this moment." The next hours were a frenzy of preparation. Every ship, every weapon, every scrap of technology humanity had developed over the course of the war was brought to bear. Elena worked tirelessly, fine-tuning the phase cannons and developing new strategies based on their understanding of Krell technology. As the Krell Armada entered the solar system, Earth's combined fleet moved to meet them. The Defiant led the charge, with Yuki at the helm and Elena coordinating the scientific efforts from the bridge. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. Space itself seemed to warp and twist as advanced technologies clashed. Phase cannons lanced through Krell defenses, while Krell weapons tore holes in the fabric of reality. For hours, the tide of battle ebbed and flowed. Earth's forces fought with desperate courage, knowing that failure meant the end of everything. The Krell pressed forward relentlessly, their numbers seemingly endless. Just when it seemed that humanity might buckle under the onslaught, Elena made a crucial discovery. The Krell fleet's movements were being coordinated by a single massive vessel, the command ship of the Supreme Commander. That's their weak point, Elena realized. If we can take out that ship, their entire strategy falls apart. Yuki nodded grimly. "Then that's our target. All ships, form up on the Defiant. We're going to punch straight through their lines." What followed was a daring, almost suicidal charge into the heart of the Krell formation. Ships fell by the dozens on both sides as the Defiant and its escorts fought their way toward the command vessel. As they closed in, Elena felt a strange sense of calm settle over her. Whatever happened next would determine the fate of her species, of Earth, of everything she had ever known or loved. "We're in range," Yuki announced, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Firing main phase cannon. The Defiant's primary weapon discharge, a beam of coruscating energy that seemed to bend the very light around it. It struck the Krell command ship dead center, bypassing its formidable defenses. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a silent flash that seemed to dim the stars themselves, the massive vessel simply ceased to exist. The effect on the Krell fleet was immediate and dramatic. Deprived of centralized control, their formation fell into disarray. Earth's forces pressed their advantage, tearing into the confused enemy with everything they had. As the last Krell ships fled or fell, a stunned silence fell over the Defiance bridge. Slowly, realization dawned. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had prevailed. Elena turned to Yuki, tears streaming down her face. "It's over," she whispered. "We won." Yuki pulled her into a fierce embrace. "We did," she replied, her own voice choked with emotion. "And now, the real work begins." As celebrations erupted across Earth and its colonies, Elena gazed out at the star-filled expanse before her. The Krell were defeated, but their legacy, the questions they had raised, the technologies they had spurred, would shape humanity's future for generations to come. The war was over, but humanity's journey to the stars was just beginning. Aftermath. 5 years after the decisive battle that ended the Krell War, Earth was a changed world. The scars of conflict were still visible, ruined cities being rebuilt, orbiting debris fields from destroyed ships. But there was an undeniable sense of progress and hope. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at the podium in front of the newly constructed United Earth Government building in Geneva, addressing a crowd of dignitaries and citizens from across the planet and its colonies. "Today, we mark not just the anniversary of our victory," she began, her voice carrying across the hushed assembly, "but the beginning of a new era for humanity. The Krell War tested us in ways we could never have imagined, but it also pushed us to achievements beyond our wildest dreams." She gestured to the sky, where the glinting forms of advanced satellites and defense platforms could be seen. "Our understanding of physics, of space-time itself, has been revolutionized. We've harnessed energies we once thought impossible. But more importantly, we've come together as a species in ways we never had before." As Elena spoke, her mind drifted to the changes of the past 5 years. The phase cannon technology, refined and adapted, had revolutionized everything from energy production to medical treatments. Faster-than-light travel, once a distant dream, was now a reality, with the first human ships venturing beyond the solar system. But it wasn't just technological progress. The unity forged in the crucible of war had led to a new form of global governance. National boundaries, while still existing, had become less relevant in the face of humanity's expansion into space. Yet with these advancements come new responsibilities. Elena continued, "We've taken our place among the stars, but we are no longer naive about what awaits us out there. The Krell may be gone, but their legacy remains. We must be vigilant, and we must be wise in how we use our new powers." She thought of the ongoing debates about how to approach other alien civilizations. Some advocated for isolation, fearing another Krell-like encounter. Others pushed for aggressive expansion, arguing that humanity needed to establish itself as a major galactic power. Finding a balance was an ongoing challenge. "We've also had to grapple with difficult questions about our own nature," Elena said, her tone becoming more somber. "The Krell saw us as an experiment, a species to be shaped and tested. We rejected their control, but we cannot ignore the impact they had on our development. How much of our advancement was truly our own, and what does it mean for our future?" These philosophical quandaries had spawned new fields of study, new religions, and heated debates across human society. The idea that they might have been uplifted by an alien race, even through conflict, was deeply unsettling to many. "But perhaps the greatest challenge we face," Elena continued, "is not out there among the stars, but within ourselves. We have the power to reshape worlds, to travel between them in the blink of an eye. We must ensure that we use these abilities wisely, for the betterment of all humanity and any other sentient life we may encounter." She thought of the terraform projects already underway on Mars and Venus, of the mining operations in the asteroid belt, of the first tentative colonies being established in nearby star systems. The potential for both progress and conflict was immense. As we look to the future, Elena said, her voice rising with passion, let us remember the lessons of our past. The unity that saw us through our darkest hour must not be abandoned in times of peace and prosperity. The innovation that saved us must now be turned towards solving the great challenges that still face us: poverty, disease, environmental degradation. She paused, looking out over the crowd. She saw faces filled with hope, with determination, with curiosity about what the future might hold. Among them, she spotted Yuki, now an admiral in Earth's growing space fleet, who gave her an encouraging nod. And perhaps most importantly, Elena concluded, let us not forget our humanity. In our quest to advance, to explore, to secure our place in the cosmos, we must hold on to the qualities that truly define us: our compassion, our creativity, our relentless pursuit of knowledge, and our capacity for love. As applause erupted, Elena stepped back from the podium, feeling a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The challenges ahead were enormous, but so were the opportunities. Humanity had survived its trial by fire and emerged stronger, more united, and ready to take its place among the stars. Later that evening, as Elena stood on the balcony of her apartment, gazing up at the star-filled sky, she felt a presence beside her. Yuki joined her, slipping an arm around her waist. Quite a speech, Yuki said softly. You've given them a lot to think about. Elena leaned into her partner's embrace. There's so much to do, Yuki. So many questions still to answer. Yuki nodded, her eyes fixed on the heavens. True, but isn't that exciting? We've got a whole galaxy to explore, mysteries to unravel, new civilizations to meet. Elena smiled, feeling a familiar thrill of anticipation. You're right. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together, just like we always have. As they stood there, contemplating the vast expanse before them, Elena felt a profound sense of hope. The war had changed them, had pushed humanity to its limits and beyond, but it had also shown them what they were capable of when united. The future was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril, but Elena knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them with courage, ingenuity, and an unquenchable spirit of exploration. The stars were calling, and humanity was ready to answer.